This book is my memory of you. It's a reminder that our love was real and that every little thing we endured was worth it. Our love saved me. I'm a completely different person. I don't recognize who I was before, and that is the best gift I've ever received, truly.
That was Emma Zarina, a recently published and also best-selling author at just 20 years old. She's also one of my friends from back home. We sort of grew up together in a way, even though we didn't know each other until high school.
That is so good. Someone's going to put that quote on Google and it's like...
Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. You mean search up inspirational quotes and it comes up with them? That's got to be one of them.
Here, you put it on a Pinterest board.
I'll be doing that later.
After years of not seeing each other, I asked Emma to be on this podcast. Even with our busy schedules, we found the time to finally catch up. As much as we could, of course. She filled me in on her latest achievements on the record, and she filled me in on her life off the record. That's just for us.
Can you give a brief synopsis of your book, Pretty Life, that came out on October 19th?
For sure. So my book, Pretty Life, is about a woman named Pretty Life who was forced to navigate the 5 stages of grief. A lot of lessons came forth when she ended her 2-year relationship, and the book is essentially meant to help brokenhearted readers heal from whatever they've been hiding from the world.
It was such an amazing experience to see the process of Emma's journey into writing and publishing her work. In such a short period of time, she produced something that was polished and beautiful. And it wasn't even something she had planned.
Well, it's actually a really funny story. I remember just feeling like I really needed to journal after, obviously, the book is about me. And so I was in class one day and I just started writing, and it just turned into kind of a snowball of a series of poetry. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to write a book. For the first 6 months, I was just solely writing on my own, and then I contacted a few publishing companies, but never could find one that I was really interested in. And then I met a friend along the way, and she was a film major. So then she and I started collabing on different artworks for my book. But the actual publishing process did not happen until about a month before release, actually. So it was a bit of a crazy journey. So I submitted, of course, my file. I got in contact with the publishing company, and I was in constant contact with them, with their team, about editing and proofreading and changing some things. Had to constantly be on Zoom calls and so many different edits. There was actually 3 versions of the book, and then we chose this one.
Pretty Life may be the meeting place and presentation of Emma's hard work, but there's so much more to her writing than just that. Over the past few years, I had the privilege to watch Emma's work evolve over the landscape of social media, specifically Instagram. What started out as just a few small pieces of prose posted on her story turned into so much more. Each new piece was thoughtful and new. I saw her work slowly start to develop into long-form, complex, and just raw representations of her heart on the page.
So it's actually just a crazy journey of it, because I was never much of a writer anyways. And I think I really found my talent when my ex-partner, he was a poet, and he used to write me letters and letters and letters. And so I was trying to connect to him in a way that I couldn't feel him anymore. So then I started to fall in love with poetry. It's just really helped me evolve as a person.
As both a psychology student at York University and a world traveler, we'll get to that, I couldn't believe she had time for it all. But writing this book wasn't just a job for her. It was a healing process, and it all started with journaling.
Journaling is writing your thoughts and feelings out. It's just about understanding your thought process and where it stems from. It's not to judge or kind of predict what you're supposed to do or not do. It's just to allow your mind to free flow so that you can come to a more logical conclusion if you decide to do anything with it.
Is there anything that the process has taught you in particular?
Oh gosh, yeah. I know I keep saying that, but it was a huge process. It is to never give up the emotional aspect, the physical aspect of it all, organizing the book, and then I had to push my release date. There was that whole complication, but resilience lives within you, not within your actions. You just have to put it in there.
Emma's healing journey through Pretty Life was a long but important one. The book has 418 pages, 410 of which include over 250 poems. And that is not even all of it.
Well, originally there was 500 poems, and I had to rake through them continuously. A lot of them were repetitious, and I just decided that the ones that really needed to be in the book were the ones that were really going to resonate with the world.
As much as this book was an individual and introspective experience for her, there were many reasons she wanted the public to read about her feelings.
I knew that there needed to be some sort of guideline for young adults. It's such a popular thing to say to someone, like, just get over it, give it time. But nobody really understands the depth and how someone feels. My curiosity has always been around the process of how humans feel different things all the time. And so we can never quite pinpoint what that is. And so I thought that young adults needed a guideline, kind of like advice. If they couldn't go to someone or talk to someone, they could read those pages and understand, like, this is how they can heal. I definitely want people to understand that adversity won't stop you, and that love is the most greatest thing in the world, and it's also the hardest thing in the world, and we are nothing without it. So embrace the fact that you can feel, embrace the fact that you can fall in love and break and get back up and do it all over again, because we are resilient creatures, and love can push us to do the most crazy things.
On the topic of love, Emma shared a fun fact with me. The title of her book, Pretty Life, actually comes from a song that was important to the relationship that inspired the novel. Pretty Life used to be her nickname.
So when my ex-boyfriend and I first started going out, on our very first date, he showed me a song, and it was called Pretty Life by Trell Morris. And we had our very first kiss to that song. It was actually his very first kiss, too. And ever since then, he just started calling me Pretty Life, and that was the nickname in our relationship. So I decided that I needed to go out with a bit of a bang.
Since she last said goodbye to him in November of 2023, Emma hasn't spoken to her ex-partner. In fact, she doesn't even know if he knows about the book.
So I've definitely had that thought of, what if I send him the book? Is he going to read the book? Oh my God. But I originally felt like the book was meant to be a response to what he did. And then about halfway through writing it, I realized that this was much bigger than what happened. This is something that could change the world, something that could change lives. And so what I did was I decided that I would just let fate decide. I would never reach out to him. I would never, send him the book. I would definitely say that book is my tangible healing journey. I've healed, and that was just the most beautiful way I could have done it.
As someone who is a writer herself, I can attest to the fact that it is one of the most beautiful ways to heal. Even if it's not your forte, it has the potential to do so much for a person. Like Emma, it can take them on an emotional journey. And like so many other times in our lives, we don't always make these journeys alone. People help us along the way.
I want to thank my parents, obviously. They were there through it all from the beginning. My close friends, my inner circle, and definitely I thank God, because I don't think I would have done it without having to really get close with him and really get serious about what I needed in order to move on.
But the support doesn't stop there. Remember how Emma said she wanted her book to resonate with the world? Well, resonate it did. Within 24 hours of release, Pretty Life became a #1 bestseller under Amazon's Love Poems category.
It's so weird, like being 20 years old and then being a published author. Like people will come up to you and say, "Hey, oh my God, is that you on the book?" And I'm like, "Yeah, and I wrote it too." Like it's been a whirlwind. And of course, I released the book and then I had midterms and exams right after. So it's just the life of being like a student and published author. Like the reaction of it is crazy. One interaction really did stick out to me. This girl that I knew from about a year ago, we weren't too close, but we're friendly. She hadn't purchased a copy from me, but she saw that I was handing out copies to friends that I purchased the book and I was going to give it to them. And so she just sat down and she was saying, "Hi, how are you? Oh my God, congratulations." And as my other friends were approaching and I was giving them their books, she was just kind of flipping through the pages because she actually just wanted to see. She was like, "Can I take a look?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, go ahead." And she just starts spewing all of this lore, I would say, about her life and her love and how she's gone through something different and the person that she was with and their on and offs. And I was like, wow, like I would have never guessed this person would have been going through that. And of course we weren't close. And of course, we'd never talked about it. And I was like, the fact that I can provide a safe space for people to relate and say, wow, like my feelings are so valid and what I'm going through is valid. And I want to heal from this. So how do I do it? So that just really stuck out to me. Like I wanted to inspire and I felt like in that moment I did.
Seeing her book do so well has given Emma the confidence to write and potentially publish more. But if you know her like I do, she kind of already has it in her.
I've been in the process of working on a few short stories. So during my time of writing Pretty Life, I actually traveled to Mexico. I went to the Yucatan Peninsula. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. And then I went to Puerto Vallarta. So it's another part of Mexico. I was there kind of doing some soul searching. And then I went to Costa Rica a little bit later in the year. And then, of course, just returned from Scotland back in August. So everywhere that I go, I actually write stories on the people that I meet there and their lives. And it was actually based off a York University course, based off the Lost Nubes Project. And it was the narratives in and of Costa Rican communities, individuals, and their voices. And from that, I actually wrote a short story. And that kind of inspired me to create a mini series of all the places I've traveled. And I'm going to publish that into its own little sector of self-development.
Beyond her own work, Emma is also an avid supporter of both established and up-and-coming artists and creators. After all, other creatives are part of where she got her inspiration from. She's hoping she can do the same for others.
Do you have any advice for any up-and-coming writers or people who are looking to do the same thing?
I would say to really take your time with your art. Don't rush anything. If you feel it intuitively that this is the work that you want to put out into the world and it'll inspire, do it. And take your time with finding a publisher. Take your time with going through the process of marketing and selling. You really, really want to take your time with it because it's your baby. It's your project. It's something that you're giving your all to. So definitely do your research and make sure that for sure you're giving your work away to something promising.
As we wrap it up, as any good friend would, I'm inclined to tell you that Pretty Life is available on Amazon now. And if listening to Emma speak hasn't convinced you to read it, I promise you it's worth it. If you don't believe me, just listen to how she ends this beautiful book.
This book is my memory of you. It's a reminder that our love was real and that every little thing we endured was worth it. You took me out of the game. I have left you in the past along with every other man who had ever broken my heart. I will continue to love you throughout time. The universe will feel my imprint as I've paid my karmic debt. Our love saved me. I'm a completely different person. I don't recognize who I was before, and that is the best gift I've ever received, truly. So I made this book for them. Not for the people we've become, but for the people we once were. They deserved an ending as beautifully written in all the greatest love stories. I took the love that had been lost, fell through the cracks, and created a home where my heart now resides with yours in our past life. This was all the closure they needed. Yours in eternity, Pretty Life.
This episode was written and produced by Katarina Zeni. Thank you to our special guest, Emma Zarina, and thank you for giving me a copy of Pretty Life.
I wanted to give you this book in honor of Pretty Life, and I'll have it signed to you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Now everybody knows I haven't bought the book yet.
It's okay. You did. What?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.